It's estimated that less than 1% of the world's population has ran and completed a marathon. This year, we completed the 2023 Columbus Marathon, and it feels great. It feels great to have set a goal and accomplished it with only 8 weeks of training. The journey of training for a marathon is an uphill battle the entire way. When you finally reach the mountaintop of success and victory, you're left facing the other side of the mountain, which is the drop-off. Despite all your hard work, all your effort, you're left with one nagging question.
All done. First marathon in the books.
Okay, all right. Well, while I'm busy staining my teeth with coffee, welcome to the video. I want to cover a topic today that I didn't even really know about till a couple days ago, the post-marathon blues. Okay, so maybe you've ran a marathon before and it was great, you worked hard, you trained, you put in maximum effort, and now it's over and you're done and you're kind of looking back thinking like, that was awesome, but what's next? Basically what the post-marathon blues is that what? All right, anyway, the post-marathon blues, basically what that is it's when you do something, in this case run a marathon, and when it's over you kind of feel sad or there's a letdown for whatever reason. The exact definition is a feeling of post-race sadness. So let's start with the first question of why. I think that's because people put so much effort into their training, they take so much of their time, and it does take a lot of time. From the training itself to the recovery, to your diet, nutrition, your sleep, everything needs to be on point so you can run your best marathon. Once you suddenly stop that and the marathon's over and you've crossed the finish line, sometimes you go into this mode of like, what's next? I don't have any goals, I don't have any next aspirations, I don't know when the next race is going to be. So you kind of get that feeling of just wandering around, doing nothing. Your dopamine kind of has to get reset. The endorphins from the race are gone. So now it's just kind of bleh. That's where I'm at right now, and that's where I've been the past couple of days. So let's just try our best to answer the question right away. What should you do about it if you have the post-marathon blues? The obvious answer is just run another race. Sign up, run another race. You'll start your training and everything will feel wonderful. That is a fantastic idea, except for the fact, how do I put this? To sum it up in one word, Ohio. If that doesn't answer all of the questions, these next couple points will. My main reason why I feel like I have this problem is because of the cold weather in the Midwest. And if you're in any other Midwestern state or northern state, you hit the same thing as me. You have two options. Go run in the cold, put up with it, or don't run. Or option 3, I guess, which would be just run on a treadmill, which is not fun for more than 30 minutes. I have barely any body fat. I don't do well in the cold. I don't have a lot of running gear to keep me warm. I feel like just putting on hoodies kind of weighs me down. I don't like the feeling of it. So that's really tricky for running in the cold. My ears hurt super bad. My jaw feels like it's frozen and it hurts. I'm just sucking in ice cold wind and my lungs burn. It's just not fun. Now I'm stuck in this rut of like, when is the next race gonna be? When's the next time that I train and put that much effort and intensity into something? So I wanna give a couple pieces of advice that I think will really help you if you have this, and it's definitely something that I'm gonna use. Advice number 1, the first thing I would do to overcome the post-marathon blues is recap your race. Whether it's a marathon or an ultra or an Ironman, sit down and recap the entire race. Get a pen and a piece of paper or get on like a computer app. I use like my notes app on my phone sometimes. Recap all the things about the race that went well and also those that didn't go well. That'll give you a chance to reflect and remember some of the intensity in the fun parts of the race, and also it also gets you excited because you'll see certain things that you didn't do well and it'll give you a chance to correct it for the next time. For me, a couple things that went really well when I recapped the race, I only had 8 weeks. I only had 8 weeks to run my first marathon, and I'm not a runner. Prior to this year, I hadn't ran at all, other than just like in sports or playing basketball. I've never just gone out and done long distance running. This is brand new to me, so to only train for 8 weeks and still get 4 hours and 20 minutes, super happy with that. Another couple things I think went really well for me is I felt mentally strong. I feel like I did a good job visualizing the race, what it was gonna be like. I felt like prepared. I was nervous because it's a marathon. It's like a big deal, but I wasn't nervous because I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like I had trained good enough to know, so I felt mentally strong. I also felt like I got good shoes, and I didn't have a lot of time to pick them out, but I was running in some Nikes I hated, but I found a great pair of shoes, and they were fantastic. A couple things that did not go very well for me, or that I would change, is the training time. 8 weeks is not enough unless you've run many marathons. So if I could go back, I wish I would have signed up sooner. Going forward, I want at least 16 minimum. The next thing I would change, or that I didn't do very well in my marathon prep, was I did not run long enough or run fast enough. I never did run past 16 miles in my training, which everyone who knows anything about running would say 20. You gotta hit 20 to make sure you can do it. So I think once during the marathon I mentioned like, all right, mile 17, never been this far. So that's not a great feeling because the last bit of my marathon was very painful because of it. I definitely did not stretch enough, that's for sure. So going forward, I'm gonna stretch more. The other thing I did not do was pacing. No idea about pacing. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I just wanted to run a marathon. So my pacing was terrible. Here's a look at my Strava chart of my pacing. It was so bad. And you can see the obvious like roller coaster of this entire thing. It starts out with slow because I'm behind people and I'm stuck. And then I get past people. We're running at 9.5 minutes. And as soon as we hit mile 16, it just goes down. Look at mile 17 through 24. Each one gets slower and slower and slower. It's so obvious where I didn't train, and it's past mile 16. My second piece of advice would be add in some new interests or hobbies when you're not running. I don't know what those are for you, but for me, it's gonna be things like strength training, photography, coffee, and then making some fun vlogs along the way, even though I'm not training. Get into a morning or evening routine, which is the same for you. Make it productive. It doesn't need to be one of those Instagram routines where you're doing 27 things before 5 o'clock. But get up early, get a couple things done, and prepare for a good day. Be productive, make it count, drink some coffee. My last and my most critical piece of advice is just set new goals. Nothing gets you out of the post-marathon blues like setting new goals and then trying to hit those goals. For me, obviously, it's cold. Like, I can't run in the snow, and I'm not gonna run on the ice on these back roads, so all I can do for me is run on treadmills. Like, that's gonna be it, and then I'll go on a few cold runs here and there, but it's hard to run out in the cold. It just is, and if you're in a warmer state, you don't have to worry about this, and you can set your goals sooner than I can. I'm gonna share with you my goals, because I think it's very exciting, and I ended the last video saying, what's next? Like, what am I gonna do next? So I'm gonna share with you my goals for 2024 and what's coming next for me. Goal number 1 is I'm gonna do my first ever trail run. Never done a trail run before. Never done a trail run before. I think it's gonna be fun because it's great to be in nature. Running on pavement is better than a treadmill, I think, but also it's repetitive, it's boring. Being in the woods, watching where you're stepping, being in the mountains a little bit is awesome. So in April of 2024, it's gonna be my first race, and that's gonna be in Southern Ohio. I'm 90% sure, but it's either a 10 miler or a half marathon. So that's the first thing I'm training for, and I'm very excited for it. My second goal is I'm going to run the Quad Cities Marathon in 2024. So that's an area I lived for 3.5 years while I was going to school. It's right by the Mississippi River, bunch of bridges and cool little areas in the city. It's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna visit my sister and her husband while I'm there too, so that'll give me something else to do. I believe that's in September, so I have quite a ways until that marathon. But that's great because that's what I wanted. I wanted more than 8 weeks to train. If I start in April, officially marathon training post trail run, that'll give me 20 weeks to train. My last goal of 2024 is I'd like to run a second marathon, and I don't know when that's gonna be. I have a few ideas of some really cool places I'd like to go. Potentially might turn into like a mini vacation with my wife and I. I'd love to just vlog the entire thing. Like take a trip somewhere I've never been to, like California, somewhere out west, somewhere a little bit more down south, and run, hey, speaking of my wife. So to wrap this up, with your goal setting, be specific. Don't just say, I'm gonna run a marathon, cool, and then just forget about it until it's 8 weeks till. Set a goal and be specific. So for me, I wanna run a trail run in April. I'm running the Quad Cities Marathon in September, so now I know how long I have to train. I have one more marathon to run. How am I gonna do it? So for the marathon in April, November, December, January, and February, those are the worst 4 months on planet Earth in Ohio to be outdoors. So I'm gonna have to spend some weekly time at Planet Fitness doing treadmill work. It's not gonna be fun, but I can slowly build up my mileage over the winter, and that's gonna help me be ready to run. So how else am I gonna get to those goals? Well, I'm gonna be spending a lot of time right now strength training because I wanna build up my body a little bit stronger to be ready for those runs. I'm gonna be stretching for real, and I'm not just saying that. I am gonna stretch, I promise. I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna be a more flexible person in 2024. And then lastly, pick out the perfect running program. I have all this time to pick a program that's gonna work well for me, and I can modify it a little bit if I need to. I have time to dig and find something that's really gonna be perfect for training for marathons. All right, finally to conclude this video, thank you to the people who watched my marathon video from Columbus. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's awesome. I put a ton of effort into it and I love that video. So thank you to the people that watched that. 2024 is gonna be my second year running. I've logged over 200 miles this year, and that's only from the last 5 months, which is pretty sweet. So I encourage you to stay tuned because I'm gonna be doing a lot of vlogging, a lot of videos in the future. And this year, for December, I'm gonna be doing some Vlogmas, which still ties in some running concepts. So it's not just gonna be me baking cookies. Although it's not a ton of clips of me running, it is gonna be running related, and you'll see about that December 2nd. I'm curious what you guys are up to as well. So in the comments, let me know if you guys signed up for a race this year or next year. Because I keep forgetting there's people like in Florida that can run in December, which is totally unfair. But I am curious. Let me know down below if you guys are running a race, which race you're running. I'm just curious what people are up to. If you guys are running any marathons or ultra marathons. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.